What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. You're with Chris, and today I'll be bringing to you my spoiler-free review of Tom Clancy's Act of Defiance by Andrews and Wilson, the 38th book in the decades-spanning Jack Ryan series, a thriller series that does happen to be my favourite of all time. Now this is the first contribution to the series by the writing duo, who have proven themselves as being great thriller writers themselves by writing together series such as Tier 1, Brothers of Valor, and Shepherds, to name a couple. Now every time a new contributor comes into the Ryanverse, I always get a little bit nervous. I think to myself, are they going to do the series justice, or are they going to muck things up? In this case, I didn't need to be nervous because Andrews and Wilson absolutely smashed the book out of the park, and being a diehard Jack Ryan fan, I was absolutely stoked with their efforts. The book was absolutely amazing. Okay, so let's start how I always like to, with what the book is about, taken straight off the back cover. When a Russian superweapon is let loose under the waves, it's up to President Jack Ryan to find a countermove in the latest entry in this #1 New York Times best-selling series. US intelligence is reporting turmoil in the Russian Navy. Their deadliest submarine, the Belgorod, has unexpectedly launched. Who authorized the departure? What mission is it on? And most disturbing of all, what weapons do the giant doors on the sub's bow hide? It's been 4 decades since a similar incident with the Soviet sub, the Red October, ended happily thanks to a young CIA analyst named Jack Ryan. Now, President Ryan finds himself with fleets of ships, squadrons of jets, and teams of SEALs at his command, but he doesn't have insight into the plans of the Belgorod's commander. It falls to a younger generation of Ryans to do the dangerous work that will reveal that information. But there's always a price to be paid. When the final moments tick away, will Jack Ryan have to choose between the safety of his country and the safety of his child? Great premise. Okay, the first chapter is an absolute standout, where we get a flashback way back to 1984 amidst the events of the Red October, with a previously unknown subplot told from the viewpoint of different characters that we've never been aware of before. Now the events in this chapter have consequences that follow Jack Ryan right through to the present, where the past definitely comes back to haunt him. Now straight off the bat, this is a masterstroke from Andrews and Wilson, because for long-time fans it is a real treat. From the get-go, they pay homage to the series and treat it with respect all through the book. Now the technology that the Russians are harboring here is very frightening, and if deployed successfully on the United States, it could mean World War III is sparked. Now it's up to Ryan, along with his close confidants, in particular Mary Pat Foley, his Director of National Intelligence, have to race against time to find a way to stop a rogue Russian captain from releasing this weapon of mass destruction. Enter Jack Ryan's youngest daughter, Katie. She graduated top in her class at the Naval Academy and is on the career fast track, with being recently promoted early to a senior analyst role out of the ONI, and she becomes pivotal in stopping this insidious plot to destroy America. I love how Andrews and Wilson wrote Katie. She is a force of nature and has a natural ability for pattern recognition, and is a prodigy in intelligence gathering activities. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Now I love how she has her dad's traits, and the way she carries herself is brilliant, because her dad casts a pretty big shadow, and she's achieved things on her own merits without using her dad's name to advance her career. Now she has that same Ryan tenacity, righteousness, and selfless abandon, as she doesn't hesitate to throw herself into harm's way, putting her own life at risk in order to save others. Yep, she's her dad's daughter, alright. Now Jack Ryan himself is sensationally written by Andrews and Wilson. They know the character inside out. Their research is obvious. The way they write the character makes Jack Ryan shine throughout the whole book, and it is just a pleasure to read, because there are incredible moments involving Jack Ryan, so much so that I have dug out a couple of passages to share with you. So this first passage is how a president should deal with threats. Now this is in the White House Situation Room, where things are reaching crisis point, as he addresses the room, and this is what he says. Ryan had already given the thorny question considerable thought. When we find the Belgorod, not if, Admiral. I want one of our attack submarines following in its baffles with torpedoes loaded and a firing solution ready to go. If the Belgorod so much as floods a tube while pointed in the direction of our carrier strike group or one of our bases, then we have no choice but to put it on the bottom of the Atlantic. I'm not going to start this war, but I'll be damned if I let them cripple us without a fight. I got chills from that. So what a great line. He does not hesitate to strike if his country is threatened. So this next passage is when he's talking to his Director of National Intelligence, Mary Pat Foley, in the Oval Office, where Katie has placed herself in danger. Now this is a bit of a longer passage and comes from chapter 59. "What on earth are you talking about?" Ryan asked, failing to resist the need to rise from his seat at the Resolute desk. "Why is she aboard the Washington, and why am I hearing about this after the fact?" He was angry, but he knew he wasn't angry with Mary Pat. She knew it too. He could tell from her eyes. What in the hell is Katie thinking? "You're hearing about it now, Mr. President, because I just heard about it myself," she said calmly, just the cadence of her voice actually helping Ryan center himself. "And I'm afraid I can't tell you why Lieutenant Ryan felt she needed to be aboard the submarine hunting the Belgorod. Maybe it's simple genetics." He cut her a look. "That's not fair. When we were hunting for the Red October, I had insight that the skipper of the Dallas needed to hear from me. It was essential." "Jack," she said gently, and put a hand on his shoulder. "You raised 4 amazing kids who, like you, are completely dedicated to this country. Katie is smart as hell, and just like all your kids, she is dedicated to her duty and will execute what she sees as her mission to the best of her ability. And more than any of them, she's, well, you, Jack." What's that supposed to mean? Just that she sees things, details that others miss, just like a young analyst named Jack Ryan did more than once. And when she knows she's right, she's a dog with a bone. Again, just like her dad. Love that passage, because it just encompasses how Katie inherited her dad's traits, and I just love that. The technological side of things with the submarine warfare and cutting-edge weaponry is very well explained in good detail, but not too much to bog you down, and it's a very good balance that blends well with the rising tension that builds to an absolutely thrilling climax where everything comes to a head and the US comes close to being annihilated, and you find yourself at the end breathing a sigh of relief, because it is a really close call. Now, the book was lengthy at just under 600 pages, but that's a good thing, because Katie's character has room to breathe and get really fleshed out, and I especially liked how key military characters doubted her in the beginning about her theories and her instincts, but as time went on and as the threat was revealed, it proves that she was right. And it hasn't been easy for Katie, because she does have a very famous dad, and key people in the military know exactly who she is and tend to think of her, upon first meeting her, as just the president's daughter, but she is so underestimated, and by the end of the book she gets the respect from everyone pretty much, ensuring a bright career moving forward for her. So she has vulnerabilities, but she also has strengths, and the traits that she inherited from her dad are very, very evident, and she is a fantastic character. I am over the moon with her character, and I can't wait to see what is in store for her as she moves forward. Who knows, she might follow in her dad's footsteps and move up into the echelons of the government in Washington. Who knows? So I absolutely love the book. If you are a Jack Ryan fan and haven't gotten around to reading this one yet, I implore you to move it to the top of your TBR stack, because it is that good. Now, before I wrap it up, I'll tell you about 2 more Jack Ryan books that are due to be released between now and the end of the year. The first one is called Shadow State by MP Woodward. Now, I'll read the synopsis to you, but he is going to be a first-time contributor as well, so I'm a little bit nervous because I don't know about his previous writing, but we'll see how that goes. But I'll read the synopsis to you. Surviving a helicopter crash in the Vietnamese highlands is only the start of the challenges facing Jack Ryan Jr. in the latest propulsive thriller of this #1 New York Times best-selling series. The vibrant economy of the new Vietnam is a shiny lure for Western capitals. Companies are racing to uncover ideal opportunities, not wanting to be left behind. Henley Associates has sent their best analyst, Jack Ryan Jr., to mine for investment gold, and he may have found some in a rare earth mining company, Geotech. But a trip with a Henley colleague to observe the company's operations takes a treacherous turn when their helicopter is shot down. Some things haven't changed, and Vietnam is still the plaything of powerful neighbours. The Chinese are determined to keep Jack from finding the truth about what exactly is being processed at the isolated factory. Now, Jack is in a race for his life. He's got to stay one step ahead of a pack of killers while supporting his wounded friend. And he'll get no help from the government, because in the jungle, it's the shadow state that rules. Sounds really, really cool. And this one is released next month, so it's going to be very high on my priority list. The second book that's coming by the end of the year is called Defense Protocol by Andrews and Wilson. It'll be their second contribution to the series, which I'm really looking forward to. So let's read this one. The stakes are sky high when a minor misstatement from President Jack Ryan threatens the safety of Taiwan in this #1 New York Times best-selling series. Every word a president utters is weighed and examined, but none more so than when he is talking about Taiwan. That's why it's shocking that President Jack Ryan seems to imply that the US has no appetite for a war to protect Taiwan from the communist Chinese on the mainland. President Ryan is determined to protect the independence of the island nation, but he is determined that one slip of the tongue should not cost thousands of young soldiers, sailors and Marines their lives. So, got to wait till December for that one. December's still a fair way away, but I'm really looking forward to reading it. So there you go, guys. That is it for my spoiler-free review of Act of Defiance. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'll promise to deliver the best content I can. Offer up any feedback below as per usual. But until the next video, guys, happy reading.